Think better and think backwards. Have you ever heard that saying, hope for the best, but plan for the worst? Some might call this a glass half empty way of looking at the world, and maybe that's true in some ways. But when it comes to business, it's actually a really smart way of thinking. In this lesson we're learning about mental models. Specifically a model called inversion. Inversion is all about turning problems upside down and evaluating them through a lens of what could go wrong instead of what can I do right. This way we can avoid once unforeseen pitfalls and sometimes actually reverse engineer some totally unexpected, maybe counterintuitive solutions to our problems. Are you ready? Let's learn to think backwards. Overview of mental models. So before we dive in, exactly what are mental models? James Clear, author of the great book Atomic Habits, has one of my favorite definitions. A mental model is an explanation of how something works. It's a concept, framework, or worldview, that you carry around in your mind to help you interpret the world and understand the relationship between things. Mental models are deeply held beliefs about how the world works. Put even more simply, mental models are tools that help us think better. Charlie Munger says, I think it is undeniably true that the human brain must work in models. The trick is to have your brain work better than the other person's brain, because it understands the most fundamental models. The ones that will do the most work per unit. If you get into the mental habit of relating what you're reading to the basic structure of the underlying ideas being demonstrated, you gradually accumulate some wisdom. Translation: to get an edge you don't necessarily need to know more, but you do need to think better. After all, information in a vacuum only goes so far. It's trivia? But understanding how to evaluate and act on information, that's how you win. And the more tools you have, the more mental models, the more well-rounded thinker you'll become in every aspect of your life, especially in business. Inversion thinking explained. Okay, on to the good stuff. In this lesson, we're taking a look at one of the most powerful mental models we have in our arsenal. It's called inversion, and it's a framework for looking at things backwards. Turn a situation or problem upside down. Look at it backward. What happens if all our plans go wrong? Where don't we want to go, and how do you get there? Instead of looking for success, make a list of how to fail instead through sloth, envy, resentment, self-pity, entitlement, all the mental habits of self-defeat. Avoid these qualities and you will succeed. Tell me where I'm going to die so I don't go there. Close quote. That last sentence, that about sums it up. Inversion is a model that requires us to think about problems non-linearly, starting at the end and working backwards to pick out potential pitfalls or obstructions. Instead of asking ourselves, what do I need to make this thing go right, we should ask, what are the reasons this thing could go horribly, terribly wrong? Inversion forces us to acknowledge the possibility for failure at the very outset, and it helps us illuminate those trouble spots that we might not have seen before, helping us to circumnavigate them. Some might call it a pessimistic way of thinking. Inverting the problem won't always solve it, but it will help you avoid trouble. You can think of it as the avoiding stupidity filter. It's not sexy, but it's a very easy way to improve. How to apply inversion thinking? Okay, so now that we know what inversion thinking is, let's put it into context with some real-life examples pretty much anyone can relate to. Let's say you're trying to upgrade your own efficiency or productivity at work. We've all been here. Instead of asking yourself how to accomplish those goals in the affirmative, think about the reasons you might not accomplish them. Here's a few. You don't structure your days well enough, you work in a distracting environment, you don't take time throughout the day to reset your mind, you stay up too late and wake up groggy, and on and on. Now that you've articulated the reasons you might fail, you can back into specific solutions to help you avoid those pitfalls. Deliberately time block your days for more structure, stop using an ad hoc schedule, Give yourself 15-minute breaks at regular intervals to improve your focus, emphasize discipline about your nighttime habits and sleep health, and on, you get the point. Let's look at one more, this time non-business related. Let's say you want to run a marathon. I think pretty much everyone has thought about it for at least like a second. Now, let's say you actually commit to it. What are some of the reasons you might not achieve your goal of running that marathon? Here's some. You have a lack of accountability or social pressure, you have an under-researched training regimen, you don't consider the physical effects training might have on your body that could lead to injury, etc., etc. So, now that you understand the reasons you might fail and have your friends asking, hey, are you supposed to run a marathon? Let's back into some forward-looking solutions. Consider training with a partner or in a team environment to keep yourself accountable. Adopt a training regimen from trusted sources, don't just wing it, and think from the outset about how running can impact your body so that you can avoid injury. Now, some of these might seem a little obvious, sure, but the point is inversion is a forcing function to help us understand the obstacles ahead of us. It puts them front and center so that they become impossible to ignore.